about nonviolent communication and the importance of nonviolent communication in resolving 9/11. In other words, it's my fervent belief that what happened during 9/11 needs to be understood, not for the sake of punishment, but for the sake of taking humanity into a liberated direction, because it involves advanced technology to be able to bring a building down in 11 seconds to turn it into dust. Now, the importance of nonviolent communication in resolving 9/11 means that we have to stay in connection with everyone, no matter what the theories are, because the theories, the different speculations that people have are really important to consider, and it's called free speech. And the freer our speech is, and the more we respect each other for having different opinions and different theories, the more we'll be able to have a diversified viewpoint. And when we have diverse viewpoints, we can come together and assemble a more effective strategy to deal with the reality. Now, oftentimes people will say, well, let everybody believe what they want to believe. And the problem with that is you want to synchronize belief with reality so that when you move forward as a group, you're going to be more effective. To have the most coarse graphic example, if you were going into battle, you want to go into battle with people by your side covering your position who have very good eyes and very good ears. So you want them to be able to see the danger that's ahead, to hear the danger, so that they can respond accordingly. Now, if people might have a different opinion to say, well, I want to go around that position, take the left flank, the right flank, whatever, then that's a different consideration. You're still synchronized with what the reality is. And so when you start to study nonviolent communication and the importance of connections of empathy, that it's not about authority-based communication, but it's about communication that's not power over, but power with. And in order to develop connections of power with, you need to create connections of empathy. And happily enough, it turns out that when you study this, all human beings have the same needs. So that if you can start to see each other as human beings with the same needs that you have, then the tendency to demonize other people through labels, and then it becomes easy because you don't feel that they're human, you don't feel that they have the same needs as you do, then you can go merrily along and kill them. Rabbit Hole Central?
Yeah, it's fine. I called before. You told me
Oh,
to
wonderful.
call around now.
Wonderful. Do you have a website that you'd like me to pull up? Because I'm streaming and I'm recording this on rabbitholecentral.tv. If you're near an internet, you can actually watch it.
Oh, yeah, I don't have the capability.
You don't have, and you don't have a website, or maybe a favorite website of yours that I could bring up and to kind of illustrate your position as you talk?
Oh, no, I don't have a website. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite website of something?
Favorite website?
In say, because I know you're an activist in 9/11 Truth. Am I mistaken in that?
Oh, no, not at all.
Oh, you're not.
I just happen to be seeing your program, and I just
maybe I
wanted
mixed.
to understand why you felt that no planes is so important to put forward.
Oh, okay.
TV fakery you talked about. So I was wondering why you felt that was so, to the extent that it has created divisions. Now we have divisions in this movement, and so why is it so important?
Well, first of all, are you in the movement?
Me personally, I've always known that 9/11 was conducted by the Pentagon. I mean, I have, I have inside information personally. This is, I know someone that's connected, so because of that, that's how I knew.
I really respect what you're saying, if you have personal inside information. But for me, I've had experience in the past where, let's say from a business point of view, oftentimes business deals are done with personal inside information And sometimes information is leaked, and then there's speculation, and
Well, this is somebody
they actually have laws.
I knew.
But I'm just
So
trying.
it could be that they're lying to me.
No, I'm just trying to kind of plow the ground to say that inside information is a double-edged sword. You can get a tip-off on something, and you can make a lot of money at it from a business point of view. But on the other hand, I think what's dangerous about inside information, even from a business point of view, is the information may not be correct.
That's what I just said.
And I know, like, say, when you're putting a stock public and so on, there has to be disclosure, and there has to be a lot of evidence, and there has to be proof, and that is supposed to protect people.
But that's why I've always said from the very beginning, years and years ago, that this has to be on establishing a legitimate commission that is going to be seeking truth and facts and figures, and would have power to get at the facts. And I felt that's where the emphasis should be on, instead of fighting over how it was conducted, how it was done, and even who did it. The emphasis should have been on, let's get a legitimate, a serious commission that's really going to investigate, that has full power to get at the facts, and then let that speak out loudly, because the original commission was a sham and everybody knows it.
Right, okay, so now, unfortunately, you're not at a computer, but what I'm showing right now is the New York City initiative petition to amend the New York City Charter under, I guess that means Section 34, New York Municipal Home Rule Law. Now, the beauty of this petition that I'm showing here, but you unfortunately can't see, is that there's only about 4 pages to it. It's been put together with a very solid funding program, and I'm hoping that there'll be some viewers who are watching this who are more expert than I to explain the importance of this, because I am going to be doing a show tomorrow with Carl Pearson up at Manhattan Neighborhood Network. So you're certainly welcome to come to the MNN studios tomorrow, say around 3 o'clock, and that's at 537 West 59th, and we can go over this, because I think you're absolutely correct. We need to have a proper reinvestigation, a proper commission, and there's rules and regulations about how you get it on the ballot.
But here's the problem that I've been seeing for the past, again, 4 or 5 years, is that no one, in my view, is serious about it. Meaning, and what I mean by serious is they're investing serious time and effort and money and resources.
Well, I disagree.
Very few people, can count them on my hand, that are doing it, and they're doing it for their own personal causes and reasons. Meaning there's no, we need serious funding, nationwide funding, to hire people full-time, so that this is a full-time operation, and it's not being done. So it raises the question of, well, why hasn't it been done? I mean, it's been like, 7 years now? I mean, it's ridiculous that even to this very day, we do not have in place a serious group of people who are being paid and funded nationwide to conduct this thing in a serious manner and hire the people that are necessary to get the job done, instead of a ragtag team of just personal, individual citizens who are just doing this, and again, they have their own motivation for doing it, and what they're getting out of it for themselves. I don't consider those people serious, meaning you have to hire the necessary people that have know-how and get this thing done already. And it's just interesting to see that it hasn't been. Why not? Where are all the people, like, for example, all the people that have written books and gotten money from it, why aren't they pouring that money into funding this thing? Why haven't they done it? They're not doing it now, and they haven't done it in years. So that raises the question, why hasn't all these people who claim to insinuate, right, that the government or somebody other than what was the official report, said that those same people are not serious in the sense that they're devoting the time, the serious time, not a part-time, like hobby kind of thing, but the serious time and money and organizing a fundraiser so that we can hire the people that are necessary. Why hasn't that been done? See what I'm saying? Meaning this is like almost like a sham, what's been played out.
Are you insinuating that Les Jameson is taking the money for his own personal use? He's collected 10,000 signatures. I think that's commendable. I think we should be grateful for that. Have you ever been down to St. Mark's Church?
Yeah, I have. But
and were you there last Sunday?
No.
You weren't?
No, what happened last Sunday?
Well, I think it was a very good thing. People on the steering committee said that a ballot initiative that had some real power in it because it had a clause for funding so that when it went before the city council, it would be self-sufficient. And the importance of funding means that you don't have special interests behind it. Otherwise,
Did they take
you
out
could have...
Paul Pearson?
Excuse me?
Original petition. Why did they take out the Attorney General?
I don't know why they took it out.
Those are important questions that were never answered.
That's why I wish you were down at St. Mark's last Sunday, and I hope you come next Sunday, because I can put myself in both people's position. I can see how Les Jameson was influenced by Dr. Pepper, who promised 6 figures. So what is that, a couple $100,000?
That's right, yeah.
Now that would be a good thing. And what they apparently admitted, I think the man's name is David, he stood up and he was trying to keep the intense energies all balanced so that everybody could be heard, but that nobody excessively dominates. And he was essentially admitting they kind of got ripped off. They were promised money, but there was no promissory note signed or whatever, and so without funding, the city is not going to want to do an initiative that there's not enough interest in, that there's no money behind.
Right.
So Carl Pearson's idea was quite brilliant, and the brilliance of it is it goes far beyond 9/11 to enrich the integrity of real democracy. That's the beauty of having the New York City Attorney General in it. By that clause being in there, that means a New York City Attorney General has the power to go after abuses that are done by larger organizations against the body of the people, much as 9/11 was an abuse, obviously, to the people in the building, but to all of us who live in New York, and really it reverberates throughout the world with Iraq and Afghanistan. So like you say, it's really urgent that it's investigated, but it has to be investigated correctly. So what came out at St. Mark's, in my humble opinion, was there was frustration from people who were on the steering committee whose vote was overruled by somebody who was dangling money.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying? And the money never came through. So I will not fault Les for being attracted to the money, because he probably felt it was a more sure thing, and that each little step along the way is valuable. If you can be more dignified and pay people to go out and collect signatures, you're going to have more of a chance to go mainstream and to be respectable. But it didn't work out.
I collected 400 signatures. I spent 2 weeks every day, more than 8 hours every day, collecting signatures at a time when Les knew that the petition was going to be changed, and yet he did not tell me about it.
Well, then you must be
So
right.
I collected those signatures for naught.
So-
Now, it's things like that. There are many other things, but there's things like that where there was secrecy, and he knew people were out collecting signatures, like myself, because I was in daily contact with him, letting him know what I was doing. And so he knew, and it wasn't until like a month after I collected all the signatures that he's saying, oh, well, we're going to change the thing, and so we got to do this all over again. And for what reason? And again, those reasons, the answer was never given. Why, like the question of why did they, Pepper and them, and his financiers or whatever, why didn't they want an attorney general in there? Was never answered. So forget about the promise of money. I mean, that was important too, but
You
that
know,
didn't come through.
you know why? I'm going to just take a wild guess about why it wasn't answered, and because maybe they thought it was too pie in the sky. Maybe they thought it was too impossible. You know what I'm saying? But I have seen
What's impossible, you don't get it. It's impossible as it is.
I know, that I know.
Meaning the mayor has the power to block it, period, end of story. No matter how many did you know that, by the way? No matter how many signatures you get, right? Get 1,000 get a million signatures, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter. In the end, the mayor can block it. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Now, you see, this is the kind of thing, and I'm sure you've been involved for quite a while, right? And
Well,
you're in contact with various people. How come no one told you that simple thing?
Well, just a second. I haven't been that involved because I haven't felt completely welcomed at St. Mark's Church.
Right, I understand that, but somewhat involved, like here and there.
Yeah.
I'm not saying fully. But
No, if it wasn't for Carl...
pointed that important fact out.
No, if it wasn't for Carl Pearson, I wouldn't know all of this. And that's why I'm very excited about tomorrow, and that's why I invite you to come up to MNN tomorrow, because it sounds like you would be a very good guest to have on the show with him. If you've actually, hit the streets and collected signatures, obviously you very much care. You put your effort where your mouth is. You're not just complaining.
Oh, no, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been out there.
Yeah.
And but what I have found, though, is also an issue that needs to be addressed. We need to come up with a strategy and a tactic to address it, which is the fact that, because I've been on the streets, so, what you get from media and what you get from other people and whatever, there's nothing like being on the streets and you yourself talking to people at random and different locations, not just in one location. I would cover many, many different neighborhoods in Manhattan. I only stayed in Manhattan, but I covered from northern Manhattan, Upper West Side, Midtown, UN area, down in the village, all the areas as much as I could. And there's nothing like what you learn from the people on the streets.
Right.
I learned so
I
much
agree.
you would not believe.
Yes,
And
I
one
agree.
of the things I found out is that, in my view, based on my experience with doing that, right, was that there's a serious mind control going on. The people, the human being, is under it's like a spell, and it's almost like they're in a trance, and they repeat what others say, what they read, what they hear. They're like robots. They're not, and this is, by the way, even filters down to the children, because I go to college campuses, NYU, FIT, Columbia, and I talk to the students. And I've even had contact with teenagers. And what I'm observing is that there is a mind control going on, and until we address that and find a way to break through that, which is now we're talking metaphysics, we're going into the spiritual realm, then all this bringing up of facts and figures and evidence, I don't think is going to do too much. Because, again, you're dealing, I feel, with a population that their minds are blocked, meaning they can't receive anything that you're saying. It just cannot, they're unable, it's unable to penetrate. And and here's the other side of the coin, even if in those few that it does penetrate, and they get it, and they go, yeah, you're right, the government, or so-and-so, is involved and is guilty. You know what their response is? Well, what can I do about it? I feel powerless. It's just only me. So they then delve into fear, or they delve into escapism, and so nothing gets done either way. So
I agree.
We have to find a way to empower people, right, to break the chains that are binding them, right, the chains of ignorance, and then also to empower them to see, guess what? You can make a difference. One person who is serious can change the entire course of history. And that could be you, that could be me, that could be anybody. You see? To make people, so I feel that, and I've spoken, everything I'm telling you I've told Les over many, many years.
Do you want to identify yourself, sir?
Yeah, my name is Jacob.
Ah. So
And
can you come? Can you come next Sunday
to
St. Mark's?
Mark's?
Yeah.
I mean, I can come. I mean, that's not a problem. But what I have found is that again,
That's
that,
very valuable. What you're saying. It's very valuable.
The people that come to St. Mark's. I mean, I haven't been there for a while, so it might be different now. Okay, but the times that I've come, how to put this? Everyone seems to be caught up in their own. Like, people aren't in a state of learning where we are learning together. Everyone's got their own, like, racket going on, meaning everyone's got their angle, their thing, and I don't get a sense of, there's an openness of receptivity and, we're willing to cooperate together, work together, learn together. I didn't get a sense of that. I get a sense of, like other people have said, and I see the same thing, where it's almost like a church. Les is the pastor, he's the authority figure, and everybody else is like a sheep in their own little thing and vying for whatever, there's a few around him that, have loud voices, whatever, but...
You would have liked last Sunday, Jacob. I think something was cracking and shifting and changing, and I think if you come, it would be really good. And I would kind of like to ask if maybe we can open the lines and get some more comments here.
Sure. Okay.
Can you stay on? I wish you were on rabbitholecentral.tv to hear what the comments are. But what to do? But I think you stated your case very well. I'm going to post this on YouTube, and I hope to see you, okay? Next Sunday.
On Sunday, yeah.
Yeah, okay?
Okay.
Thanks for calling.
Be well.
Bye. So I think that was very well put. What Jacob was saying is that he's a person that's actually hit the streets, he's collected signatures, and he thinks there's something that blocks people from actually picking up and resolving or, working together. He was a little bit pessimistic about St. Mark's Church. I've always been optimistic about that. I felt that even when you're in a location where you're feeling hostility and people aren't really having a meeting of the minds, if you use the principles of nonviolent communication, put out by Marshall Rosenberg, and you put your giraffe ears on, you can hear what isn't being spoken. And you can see that what isn't being spoken, even when a lot is being spoken, it's what isn't being spoken that's more interesting to move things. And it's an unmet need. It's something, there's a great sorrow and a great tragedy inside. And if you pay attention, you can see on both sides of an argument, there's an inability to have a meeting of the minds because there's this lack of empathy that's being cultivated. And when you're trying to block information, I have discovered through studying the principles of nonviolent communication, there are principles of violent communication, actual principles to divide people. And by having people divided, you think, or whoever wants to set about the division, they think that they're getting away with something, that they're covering something, because united people can more easily not be fooled. You can't fool united people the way you can divided people. So I'm wondering if there's any more calls here. If there's not, I'm going to make a call myself to somebody who might not have been able to get through.
Hello?
Do you want to make any comments about this? Or were you able to hear what was happening?
I'm not able to because my computer can't...
Can I just sort of recap what happened in the last 20 minutes? Because I know you were at St. Mark's. This person said that he collected 400 signatures, and he really stated the case very well about the he said, why was there never an explanation given of why the Attorney General was taken out of the ballot initiative? And he expressed a lot of grief. I hopefully have encouraged him to come down to St. Mark's to give it another round, because I felt that we were going somewhere on Sunday.
Well, frankly, no one knows for sure. There are different suppositions that people have made, and of course, they're only suppositions, but it seems to be totally unjustified. And the worst part of it,
Excuse
what
me,
they did was replace it with something that is so weak and almost non-existent as a plan, which is to have contributions made by wealthy individuals, which is to include this in what they're calling a grassroots campaign. It's so ironic, which will be sponsored by wealthy individuals. But the problem with that is we don't know who they are. Will we ever know who they are, and what will their interests be in the outcome of this commission? It could be worse than the Keene Commission.
Right.
It's just ridiculous, and it's obviously been causing them grief, because when I was at a press conference where they had ex-Senator Gravel speaking, he said to the group, "Oh, and don't worry about the funding plan, that it's going to be funded by rich people or wealthy individuals," or whatever he said. He said, "Don't worry about that." But he never told the people why they shouldn't worry about it. Certainly an indication that he's getting flack about it.
Now, another thing I wanted to bring out that the caller brought up is you could collect 1,000 signatures or 1,000,000 signatures, and the mayor can overturn it. I didn't realize that.
No, I don't think it's the mayor. I'm not sure. It seems like the petitions themselves go to the Board of Elections, but the way that I understand it is the date that Les was trying to reach the deadline, and he kept changing the deadline because unfortunately he isn't an attorney and he really didn't seem to have much guidance in what he was doing. He seemed to be winging it a lot, but then I guess he didn't have to worry because he wasn't even near the amount of signatures he said he had. But from what I understand, you have a date, and the dates are a little bit arbitrary because of the iffiness of what is going to be happening, what decision the city, I think it's the city council, and you have to bring them by a certain amount of time. I think it's 30 or 35,000 signatures that are validated, which means, a lot more than that, but they're all clean and clear. And then they can still dismiss your proposal. But if you get your signatures in early enough, which would be a lot earlier than Les was doing it, you then have the option of another window during which you have to get 15,000 more signatures. And they also have to be validated. And my belief is that then it can't be turned down. But I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not sure that, because there's always the assumption that, the last resort is you can't litigate. A lawyer can then take it to court and to say, why can't we do this when we've done all this work or whatever. Anything, obviously can be shot down. I mean, you see it all the time. When you watch C-SPAN and you watch the government, you see the way things get pushed aside because they don't want them out there. But it has its ups and downs. But I think that what they did to it by taking out the city attorney general is they just really weakened it, and they made it just unpalatable.
Can I read something, because I have the original one in front of me, and maybe you can comment for us lay people. It says,
I'm a lay person too, don't forget.
Okay. It says NYCAG, which is the New York City Attorney General, is to be a temporary independent agency for NYC, expected to create a positive cash flow by the end of the second year of operations. The projection is based on the experience of the New York State Attorney General, who from 2003 to 2006 obtained lawsuit settlements amounting to at least $7 billion. Probably 40%.
Elliot Spitzer. And, he was a busy guy because he had a lot of other matters he was attending to.
Right. So it says, let me just continue. Probably 40% of such settlements related to New York City residents or businesses. The NYCAG, I don't know why it's temporary. It seems like a great idea to have all the time.
No, it can't, if the people like what it's doing, it can be made permanent.
I see. Okay, so it's temporary. So it's just not to make anybody nervous.
It's a plan. It's a plan for
I
this
see.
particular endeavor to get a commission.
Okay, so then it goes, the NYCAG plans to commence actions on behalf of citizens, residents, workers, homeowners, and small businesses of NYC, of New York City, to enforce constitutional and other rights not otherwise being enforced by any government, including actions to protect the job base in New York City. Well, that's valuable. Then it goes, the activities of the Commission and the NYCAG are to be financed in this order of priority. 1, tax-deductible or other contributions to the Commission from individuals, nonprofits, and others throughout the United States and internationally interested in having an independent 9/11 investigation. So it seems as though the rich, eccentric people, who have wads of money can still donate money, right? So you're not preempting that.
I mean, I guess that, if they had any caveats that were going to take over your power, you have the option to get rid of them. But with the other plan, you have no other option. That's it.
Right.
You take what you get.
So then it says surplus of NYC stated by Mayor Bloomberg on April 26, 2007 is an estimated $4.4 billion for New York City. Source, and then he cites the source, a maximum of 2 years of expenses amounting to a total of $20 million would be taken from this surplus if available. It is anticipated that this money would be returned to New York City during the 3rd through the 5th years of operations through income derived by activities described in, I guess that's section 5.8, 5.6 below, or whatever. I don't know how to read the lawyer's stuff. But that's absolutely fascinating.
Well, see, this is not something that he came up with particularly just for the commission. This is something he's been advocating for a while. And ultimately, it really is a taking back of America by the people. He was also advocating town attorney generals in small. His theory is that every town, village, city should have an attorney general. I mean, stop and think that most people living in New York, or a good deal of them, live in this area, and yet our state attorney general is way up in Albany, and he's the only one that represents us in these public matters, like bad products that kill people or hurt people by corporations, or all of the different kinds of fraud and things that happen. He has to do it for the whole state. Well, certainly New York City is big enough that they should have someone advocating just for this city.
Right.
And the reason, the way he got involved in it, got the idea started in the smaller towns, was because he was getting calls from all over the country by cities and towns that were being decimated by Walmarts, their businesses. And the only way they had to fight back was they'd have a town council meeting, and the town council would zone them out of their 50-mile area, or whatever it was, which didn't hurt Walmart at all, because then they went to the next town.
Right.
And they have just managed to destroy businesses. And he spoke to a town in Pennsylvania where they weren't just concerned. They already had a couple Walmarts. They were concerned about a super Walmart, or whatever they call them, mega Walmart. And they wanted to actually, there was this horrible congestion of highways that they had been trying for years to do something about, because it drove everyone crazy. They couldn't get home at night. It was like a cloverleaf thing. Walmart wanted to make an exit off that horrible, messed up highway to their store. They wanted to put a store right there. And, with the kind of clout and the way they pay off governments and God knows what, they might have gotten it. I've never followed up on it. So he wanted a town attorney general, because that town attorney general could have defended the city, sued Walmart, because Walmart violates all kinds of laws. That's how they grow so fast. they've gone in and they only let people work for 20 hours a week, so they don't have to give them any kind of benefits. And there have been people that have testified, I think, on Moyers or some Channel 13 show, that they actually gave the manager a list of all of the welfare and public medical things to give to their employees. So they cost towns and cities millions of dollars. I mean, I think they've cleaned up a little bit of this now. They have some kind of a really kind of low-grade health program that they give their employees, and maybe they're giving them overtime, but they've had tons of suits.
So it seems to me, what really excites me about this is that because I'm a great advocate of nonviolent communication, and in this process of creating connections of empathy so you have power with instead of power over, it's one of the principles is that punishment never works. So it seems like this investigation will go way beyond just punishing people, but actually setting into place the protection that people need on many other things other than just 9/11.
Right, because it's happened all over the country that we're totally run by the hierarchy, and that's why the city attorney general isn't just a way that he wanted to fund the commission, but he feels it's a way that people in all over the country can start taking back their town governments, their city governments, what have you, and unleashing themselves from this corporate power that has just devoured them.
Right. Well, that's really exciting. Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing you at St. Mark's next Sunday.
Oh, okay, great.
And I'm going to post this on YouTube, and I'm going to encourage as many people as possible to show up at St. Mark's on Sunday, I guess
great.
About 6:30 or so.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Okay, thank you, Paula.
Okay, bye.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So, there you go. I think that's very exciting. I love to have positive things to put on the table, and I think the New York City Attorney General idea is a very, very important and very positive idea that can be kind of the legal aspect of how we can start to move into new realities. Because if we have technology that can kill, that can harm in just unprecedented ways, as Harold Channer is always saying, there's going to be another side of the coin, and that would be the liberation for mankind. As Aristotle said, that slavery, somebody who could do all of the menial labor while the philosophers were sitting around listening to music and doing philosophy, which is very important. Music appreciation is important. Aristotle said you needed slavery until the looms can weave. Somebody needed to do the weaving. And so now we stand at a time where the looms are weaving, and we need to understand the power of this technology. And it's really capital. It's capital. Those weaving looms, those computers and all of the devices that we have in place, that's what produces the real wealth. We have to transcend talking about dividing up the real wealth simply through jobs. We have to have a more comprehensive viewpoint, and that's why Harold Channer always looks for the greater pattern, the comprehensive viewpoint. So binary economics is something I'm happy that the Concordia Foundation can endorse as a very positive solution to the horrible state of the economy, where things are falling apart, and you've got a blood economy, as Louis Kelso said, who wrote the Capitalist Manifesto in the 1950s. Private property is not a bad thing. We just need to have more people having private property so that they take care of their stuff. It's human nature to take care of your stuff. And when people were grumbling about Gramercy Park being a locked park, I said, all I know is that I feel very protected and safe in this park, but I definitely think that everybody who uses this park should use this recreational time of communing with nature and the beauty of the garden and the park to come out of the park afterwards and make more powerful social contributions to other people. And to me that means creating more locked parks where they're being taken care of. And although I'm a great one for transparency, there's definitely a time when privacy is needed and you need to honor it, you need to take care of it, and that you can kind of charge your batteries up. And when you do that, that means you're able to go out and be a more effective citizen when you're working together with other people. You can share more profoundly when you've had that nourishing time to yourself. And oftentimes we're kind of at a crisis level today in society where you have a lot of depressed and lonely people. They're lonely because they're depressed. It's hard to want to be around people that are depressed. On the other hand, without understanding the real tools of appreciating solitude, and this is what meditation procedures are about, spiritual practice is about, and that is learning how to honor your private time, your quiet time. And when you really honor that, you connect to something much higher than who you know yourself to be according to what society has told you. You know yourself to be something greater than your social image. And that's what I call divine connection. And people have different ways of achieving that divine connection. But when it is achieved, you are able to go out and you are able to interact in society and bring that nourishment with you, so that when you do pick up your social image, you're able to be more effective with that social image. And you're able, as a result of having this stronger connection, to develop those giraffe ears, as Marshall Rosenberg says, to listen deeply into expressions of extreme frustration or anger or even violence and attacks against you, to hear the unmet needs behind those tragic expressions of anger and so on. Rabbit Hole Central?
Hey, Paul, Victor.
Hey, Victor. We're rolling tape now, and I'm hoping George will be calling in pretty soon. He's going to call in at 1:45.
George who?
Ugly George.
Oh, Ugly George.
Yeah.
He called me this morning as well. Are we online right now?
Yes, we're streaming, and I'm wondering, do you have a favorite website to send people to? Or maybe we should show them the total penetration.
Yeah. I just got out of work in the morning. I'm just getting out of work now, so
Okay.
I got to run out. I got to try to grab some lunch, and
Okay, let me.
got to hook up with the guys. So I'll give you a call later on.
Oh, don't you want to say something?
So,
To all our viewers?
Oh, you want online now?
Yeah, people are listening.
Oh,
And-
yeah. Don't forget our total penetration.
Okay, what I want to do is show what you did yesterday, which really impressed people, and that is that we have a countdown
Right.
on Rabbit Hole Central, thanks to Victor Taplin, who's the executive producer and who's going to be joining me on August 11th for Total Penetration on Sirius, and now Sirius is merged with XM. And what are you hoping to achieve on that show, Victor?
Well, first of all, excuse me, I'm on a cell phone right now, calling from Lower Manhattan. But what I hope to achieve is, first of all, total penetration now on the combined Sirius XM satellite radio network has a subscriber base of over 18 million people. So
Is that
there are 18
true?
million subscribers on the combined Sirius and XM satellite radio network. So we're looking to take total penetration to new heights. We're going to have some really cool surprises on total penetration. And total penetration, the next total penetration will be on Monday, August 11th, 7:30 p.m. New York City time, Eastern Standard Time, in the United States of America, from New York City, 7:30 p.m. Monday, August 11th, 2008. It's going to be a very exciting show. We've got a lot of special treats for everybody. Don't miss it, no matter what.
That's great, Victor, and I'm really looking forward to you and 9/11 Shaman working together on that trailer of the footage that we shot last Sunday.
Yes, with a little luck, it's going to be online this evening. It's with Josh Walensky,
Ugly George?
oh yeah, also Ugly and yours truly, myself, Victor Taplin, the executive producer of RabbitHoleCentral.tv and also the webmaster as well. So that's going to be exciting. And then we've got some exciting future shows as well happening. So stay tuned because it's going to be earth-shattering what's going to be happening with Total Penetration.
Can you just give a little hint of what we might be able to do when we find some really good sponsors with the show?
Well, let's put it this way. I'm not going to give away too much.
Okay.
What I'm going to say is this. I was speaking to some New York City taxi cab drivers, and basically they're getting killed with these high gas prices. But we're working on a solution now that'll hopefully put everyone in a position where they can tell ExxonMobil to take their nearly $12 billion in quarterly profits and you know where.
Okay, Victor, it's great.
Don't say anything else, but we got a couple of things working here.
Okay, great. It's really great hearing from you, and I'm going to post this. We also, for your information, FYI, we had some discussion about the ballot initiative.
Right.
We had somebody who'd collected 400 signatures, was having a lot of beef and griping, but very good insights. And I told him to come down to St. Mark's Church on Sunday.
Right.
And I hope he does it because we're all about creating positive connections of empathy with everyone. So there you go.
All right. So then, don't forget, everybody, Total Penetration, Monday, August 11th, 2008, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, New York City time, on the combined Sirius satellite and XM satellite radio networks.
Great. Thanks, Victor.
Okay, Howard Stern, 101.
Great. Thanks.
All right, talk to you later, Paula.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
So there you go. For those of you who are looking at this on YouTube, I just want to remind you that I stream every day at 12 noon from rabbitholecentral.tv. And what you do is you click on the Egyptian rabbit right here, and that will take you to our live stream. Because sometimes it's very useful to, to have good visuals. I like to roll in different information. I was sorry that first caller didn't have a favorite website. And even, I think it's the 9/11 ballotinitiative.org, but don't quote me on that yet. When I edit this, I will put that in because I know that website's still under construction. So it's like totally exciting. So there you go. I was hoping we'd have Ugly George call in, but it doesn't seem to be happening. So what I think I'm going to do is, I'll keep this up for a while, for 10 more minutes. Let me see if I've got any messages. I'm going to, for Total Penetration, open up a whole new email, which will be totalpenetration@yahoo.com. So if you're experiencing some frustration getting through when we open up the live call-ins, because that's kind of my forte, and those I hang out with, we just love the live call-ins. And, the more angry or frustrated the call, even abusive, we feel that the whole idea of Total Penetration is to take abuse and go beyond abuse to stimulation, because behind every tragic expression that's offensive, socially offensive or whatever, we can find, if we put our giraffe ears on, a la Marshall Rosenberg's procedure, we can find a tragic expression of an unmet need. And what we want to do with Total Penetration is find what those unmet needs are. And when the unmet needs, through connections of empathy, start to be acknowledged, then what we can do is we can meet them. And when we have them met, we can begin to see that the power that we're using in weapons and war, it can just be obsolete. Ladies and gentlemen, it can really be obsolete. We have economic paradigms in place, binary economics, capital ownership can be distributed. We have the Ballot initiative right now, which is so much more than just 9/11. It goes on to a New York City Attorney General's office where the interests of the people can be protected. And we already know what a New York City State Attorney General has achieved with $7 billion of surplus coming from the abuses of certain corporations or, special interests. Again, I'm all into promoting capital ownership in these special interests so there won't be the abuse in the first place. But keep in mind, total penetration is about going beyond abuse into stimulation. So I'm checking my email now, which today is on rabbitholecentral@earthlink.net, and I see that we don't have anybody that's emailing in, so I'm going to assume that nobody's listening, or you don't want me to go on anymore, or whatever. I should still stay on. I hate to be a drag and repetitive and boring, but I do want to remind you that for Total Penetration, August 11th, I'm going to be checking my emails at totalpenetration@yahoo.com. So formulate your questions and your concerns, your observations. Send them to totalpenetration@yahoo.com, and I will organize them all specifically for that very special show. And I'm still keeping it really close to my vest. It's going to be a surprise. It's going to be an incredible surprise. And we're getting the trailer up right now, so by this evening you'll get a little bit more of an idea. But remember, if you can't get through on the lines, totalpenetration@yahoo.com, so that I can, in the heat of things, because I'm going to have other people there helping me, and I'm going to keep my eye on those emails because I want to hear from you, from all of you. And sometimes the shyest people, the people most reticent to come forward and speak, are very good and astute observers, and they have a lot to share. And they too can totally penetrate, so we can go into to really new realities, and we can have that liberated society that we are truly looking for. So there you go. I will keep this stream going, but I am going to shut the cameras, or at least the tape in. And they're saying $5 million. How did you make that much money? You said you did on one of your videos. Now, Joe Friendly has said that I've repeated this ad nauseum, but you always have people that are tuning in for the first time. So I will say that I made $5 million through cellular telephone licenses. There was a big hoopla because telephone companies were litigating every time a license would be awarded by the FCC. And so the FCC realized that people would never get cellular telephone service unless they came up with something better, and they came up with a lottery process. Everybody who had a competent plan, they had a good engineering study, they had a good financial backing, a letter of credit at least, to say that if the license was awarded, there was financial competence. So everybody that could do this and was a U.S. citizen, any U.S. citizen was entitled to share in the capital ownership of the cellular telephone licenses. And I basically jumped in on that, so I don't want to clog things up with that. I can create more specific shows on that because it's a sterling example of what binary economics is about. Again, pay attention to Total Penetration, which is going to be August 11th at 7:30 p.m. And email me at totalpenetration@yahoo.com. That is a special email address totally dedicated just to the show Total Penetration. So there you go. Unless I hear from very interesting that I'd like to go out on. Somebody has responded to a very old posting of mine when I used to be on Manhattan Neighborhood Network weekly and I could get live call-ins. It says, "Is remote viewing a dark art?" And it's about Russell Targ having worked with the CIA. And somebody here is saying, take a look at my Alex Jones is a fraud playlist unless you enjoy hating your government. And the person responded, "I replied with that to someone else. That was not intended for you, but I am really curious to check that out because I would like to check into that. How do I find it?" And so I tell him to go to my playlist. I have an extensive section on that. And this playlist has been assembled thanks to people like Ecotherapy, people who have done more investigations. Now here's this guy, Haychecks is his handle on YouTube. I'm wondering why you were saying Alex Jones is a fraud. I'm wondering also why you were saying anything that has to do with controlled demolition is detracting from the truth. You can see explosions in both towers. 45-degree thermite cuts in steel, molten thermite debris falling from the towers, etc., etc. World Trade Center clearly collapses from controlled demolition. Who else is trying to expose the Bilderberger group? He interviews very knowledgeable people and is fighting for freedom, no? Well, you know, one very short thing is he says that I'm black operations and that no planers are COINTELPRO, and these are very serious allegations. You really, before you make allegations like that, you should back them up. So that's my short answer about Alex Jones. But here is somebody else is coming up with other things. He's saying, FEMA concentration camps, FEMA train, Rex B4. Let me say, to really understand the concentration camps, we really have to start really investigating the Holocaust during the German times. And let me cite to you right now, just a quick blush on this. If Jackie Mason, in his stand-up comedy routine, in mentioning the Holocaust, is not talking about a 6 million figure, but he's already talking about a 3 million figure. Jackie Mason, a Jewish comedian. That means we should investigate these things. And that's why, again, it's very, very important that we have this proper reinvestigation of 9/11 done with, I feel, with the New York City Attorney General's office, because you want it to be funded in a proper way. If you've got something funded by just rich good guys, you're going to have special interests involved. So he's also going on projected garden plot, national radicalization, homegrown terrorism prevention act section, blah, 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 center of excellence, 9/11 loose change, CIA torture camps. Personally, I believe a lot of this stuff just tortures you. You know, when you hear the wrong information, and trust me, come to Total Penetration, my special on August 11th. I guarantee you, you're going to be very impressed. I know some of the no-planers are unhappy because I dropped hints or allegations that I wasn't going to be going strictly no-planes. It wasn't that I didn't want to go into that evidence, and I'm going to cite the first caller on this posting. He called in and he said people just aren't seeing things. So why hit them over the head with a sledgehammer over and over and over if they're just not seeing it? Another thing I want to say, look at the community of no-planers and watch and see, is that a loving, supporting community that's really taking evidence and assembling it in a way that something is growing? Again, this is why I'm excited about the New York, the Ballot initiative, the one with real teeth in it, because by having the New York City Attorney General involved, you've got something where grievances can be addressed into the future. So it's not going to be just 9/11. So we're not just harping on 9/11. Not that I don't think it's ultra important. It's ultra important to me because it's such a demonstration of the advanced technology that we have, and because we didn't adopt Louis Kelso's binary model when we had a chance. He wrote a book in the 50s called The Capitalist Manifesto. Because there's not enough private property in the hands of more people, we are now faced with a blood economy. And that's really the basis of why we're at war in Iraq. And we're going to learn more in future shows, because we're running too close to the end of this, about the serious crime of the FCC against Howard Stern. I'm going to be looking into this with Carl Pearson, who filed an amicus brief that Howard Stern is probably not even aware of. And so stay tuned for future shows. What more can I say than that? It's already 1:02. And I'm just going to leave you with this thought of Total Penetration. Be sure to see us August 11th, and email at totalpenetration@yahoo.com. Whatever your questions might be, email me at totalpenetration@yahoo.com, because as we're going live, if you're frustrated that you can't get through I am going to be checking the emails and put on the subject something very catchy and provocative so I can jump into it. I jump in and take calls and emphasize those calls that are on topic. So make it on topic. You can already email me as soon as I post this on YouTube right now. But in the moment, it's going to be very exciting because I have some special mystery guests. I'm not going to announce them. 2 very special ones. totalpenetration@yahoo.com for the future. Rabbit Hole Central.
Yeah, it's George calling back.
Oh, you don't have very many minutes, but carry on.
Carry on.
Yes.
We're still on the air right now?
Yes, we are. I haven't cut
Okay.
the stream.
All right. Is this the beautiful
Unless-
blonde woman who somehow gets insulted when we go to a certain place on Irving Place?
Well, you're just mad that they're not paying for our lunch, but you know you're not the first person that's observed that. Somebody
Yes.
said they're getting free publicity, so maybe we should start going to other establishments and have our public access meeting of the mind gatherings,
I
breakfasts.
think we should. We should find a brilliant restaurant owner who says, you realize these luminaries, Paula Gloria, Ugly George, Richter Tate, John S., I mean, the biggies are here, okay? Josh Ree. Wow, what a gathering, okay?
Well, what's the latest from Ugly George?
Round table in the 20s.
Right, what's the latest with Ugly George? I'll put your website up here.
Okay. Well, the latest is we're inching forward towards success on BoobTube, which has just gotten carried in Circuit City.
Okay.
So the DVD BoobTube, the shocking documentary about me, is in Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Best Buy, Circuit City, VH1, MTV, Netflix, eBay, and others too numerous to mention.
Okay. That's great. And can you give an idea of your film, what you want to do?
Which is theoretically about Fahrenheit 9/11, UG, boobs, and Michael Moore, and Danny DeVito, is getting closer and closer. We have many, many clips already. So as I like to say, the film is 50% done. All we have to do is fill in the plot, okay, with some good plotters.
Okay, good
Do you know any good plotters?
I'm going to post this right now because we just have a few seconds left. But I do want to also say the Concordia Foundation is very interested. Anybody who happens to have copied Ugly George's stuff off their VA